Hi everyone, this is for the U.S. History Online class at Arkansas State University Mid-South, but any class that you're taking where this might be useful, might be handy for you. I just wanted to do a brief minute or two on the American Reconstruction period and the Industrial Revolution in the United States as an introduction to some of our early units in U.S. history. So while I provided a lot of material there for you to look through, some brief moments to note. One, while the American population changes at a fairly normal pace between, say, 1870 and 1880, and I believe I've included a chart with that, something to keep in mind is the exact number of people who participate in the American Civil War. If you go through it and you look at the sheer numbers and then you kind of process exactly like how many adult males that would be versus the total population, what you're going to find is maybe one in every three, perhaps even half of the adult male population within the age bracket of people who would probably be fighting age, say 17 to 35 at the time of the American Civil War, fight in uniform during the war. And that's kind of even discounting changes that occur in the census thanks to the enfranchisement, or I shouldn't even say the enfranchisement proper, but at least the citizenship of African Americans following 1865. So you have a generation that is completely shaped by the Civil War experience, that's full of veterans, and in which every major politician, public figure is going to have a direct connection to the Civil War for several decades after that conflict. And what ends up emerging later on is some fairly uninspiring political leaders, particularly right after that generation kind of moves away from office between, say, 1880 and Teddy Roosevelt in 1900. That's kind of an interesting phenomenon in and of itself. But you have a country that is just touched both physically, emotionally, culturally, I would say spiritually, given some of the religious divisions within the American Civil War, by that conflict. The other kind of major topic you have this week is the Industrial Revolution, right? And there's no shortage of material in this unit on the Industrial Revolution and on major inventions that transform American lives. Everything from how we go to work, earning a wage versus doing work piece by piece, traveling to work versus working from home. Look around me right now. I'm in an office, right? And I had to travel here in a vehicle. Some of you might use public transportation, depending on where you're viewing this. Some of you got to take a car, you might walk, but you're leaving home. You're not doing your job at the house. In some ways, we're coming back to a pre-industrial mode through some of the contract work that a lot of us do due to the digital economy. And that's pretty interesting. It's not really a topic for today, but it's something that's kind of fascinating. The Industrial Revolution changes everything in the United States. I can't emphasize that enough. It changes where we live because railroads determine where towns are built, because railroads control where the money is, where stores pop up to service the tons and tons and tons and miles and miles and miles of material that passes along rail lines and carries people. Because we break away from waterways as the only way you can move heavy stuff, and now we've got rails, right? So that's a major change. Electricity is a major change. I mean, come on, lighting in your house, lighting on streets. And it exacerbates an urban-rural divide that, while significant prior to the Civil War, becomes even greater in the late 1800s up through, say, World War II. And it's only the Great Depression, the New Deal, and the Second World War that really brings the full benefit of the Industrial Revolution to the more rural areas of the United States, even as the South tries to recover and incorporate some of this. So that's another factor. One more thing, time. Believe it or not, the Industrial Revolution changed the way we tell time in the United States. One, people cared what time it was. I mean, do you know what time it is right now? Probably have a general estimation of it. But if you're working on a farm prior to the American Industrial Revolution, there's a good chance that the sun set your day. Now, you woke up, you went to work, and that work revolved around, the movement of the sun across the sky. You took a break at the hottest point of the day at noon, and then you went to bed at night when the sun went down.